Good morning, folks. Man, we have got a good show for you today. Yesterday's impeachment hearings were off the hook. I've got all the best clips for that. But of course, we have got to Paul Harvey this. We've got to get the rest of the story. We got to jump in that Rachel Maddow Wayback Machine and go back and look at the roots of this, how we got here, and just so we could fully understand everything that's going on. So without further ado, pretty please, go fill your cups up. You got about a minute. Fill up your cups, take a pee break, grab your pen and paper, and let's do this. Good morning, folks. Before we jump into all the great footage that we have of yesterday's impeachment inquiry, the impeachment inquiry that wasn't, but I'll get into all that. I just need to share with you that our long national nightmare is over. That's right. John Fetterman bought a suit. He looks great, doesn't he? He looks great. Senators take turns presiding over the Senate. If it's something important, if it's a big deal where complicated legislation is being moved or something like that, of course, you've got the president of the Senate, the vice president will be there. But just day-to-day operations, the person that provides over the Senate, they rotate out, they take turns. And it was John Fetterman's turn. And to shut the Republicans up, John Fetterman showed up dressed quite dapper, I must say. Love the tie, looks great. And yeah, shut the hell up, Republicans. I love it. Our long national nightmare is over. Chris Wilson, hey, did you, yeah, I've got that actually today. We're going to talk about that. Let's jump in with the impeachment inquiry that isn't actually an impeachment inquiry. And here's why. When they were impeaching Donald John Trump, you'll remember the first impeachment. He had called Volodymyr Zelensky on the phone and told him, you're either going to dig up some dirt on Joe Biden. This was in July of 2019. We'll put a pin in that because we're going to come right back to it. I want to get to the very beginning of this, and this isn't the very beginning, but I just want you to be aware. In 2019, July of 2019, Donald Trump calls Volodymyr Zelensky and blackmails him. The Congress had passed defensive support for Ukraine. And Donald Trump said, you ain't getting it unless you do something that I want. It's just not going to happen. And they impeached him for it. And we had the January 6th hearings and just everything that was awful. Donald Trump awful just kept coming out and coming out and coming out and coming out and coming out. And eventually led to Donald Trump losing the election. Well, before they could let go that, of the fact that they had lost. We had January 6th and the insurrection where Donald Trump tried to hold on to power. He tried to basically just trample our democracy. And here we go. We had the Republicans circling the wagons after January 6th because of their involvement in January 6th, trying to tamp down the Democrats' ability to hold impeachment inquiries because, they impeached Donald Trump over blackmailing Zelensky. Then they impeached him again for January 6th for the insurrection. And the Republicans said, oh, man, we've done a lot of criming here. We've got to put an end to this. We've got to stop them from being, Nancy Pelosi from being able to hold these inquiries. So what we're going to do is we're going to say there's no such thing as an impeachment inquiry unless you hold a vote on the floor to have that inquiry. We're not going to let you impeach anybody. We're just not going to do it. They even went so far as to have Bill Barr and the Department of Justice, and you got to forgive me, I'm bringing receipts today. There's going to be a lot of slides. They went so far as to have Bill Barr issue a legally binding opinion. This is a little bit difficult to read. It's a little bit small. Let me see if I can glow it up for you a little bit. There we go. And it starts with, it's really clear. It starts with the House of Representatives must expressly authorize, that's a vote, folks, a committee to conduct an impeachment investigation and to use compulsory process in that investigation before the committee may compel the production of documents or testimony in support of the House's power of impeachment. First paragraph out the gate. It is the DOJ's opinion that you must hold a vote before you can hold an impeachment inquiry. That's the Republicans. They did this. Well, what they're holding yesterday, there was no vote for because Kevin McCarthy doesn't have the votes. It's really that simple. He can't even get the Republicans to vote for this. Gina Lawson says there was nothing. It's a nothing hearing. That believe me, I brought it today, Gina. Hang in there, man. Hang in there. You're gonna like this. But before we get to all of that, let's jump in that Wayback Machine and really learn how we got here, because it explains a lot of things, a lot of questions that people have. This is what's become known in Europe as Euromaidan. And even though the word is spelled Maiden, it's pronounced Maidan. It's a Persian word. Ukraine used to be the central hub of what you could call the Northern Silk Road. I've always tried to talk about the multiculturalism that is Ukraine. It always was a Asia meets Europe hub for trade, and it's always been a big deal. That's why Kyiv is such a big deal to Russia. It's just historically just a massively multicultural city that was the hub of the Northern Silk Road. Keep that in mind as we talk about this. So this is what they affectionately call Euromaidan. And this is Nozolnatsky Square, or Independence Square, or Maidan Nozolnatsky. Maidan meaning square. The Ukrainians call it Maidan, these protests. The story behind it is you had a guy by the name of Viktor Yanukovych that he was Putin's puppet. He really was. And he just could not, he wasn't going to embrace the West. He was just Putin's puppet. But the people had already engaged in the Maidan protests. They were screaming for it. They're like, we are Europe. We're not even on the Asian continent. We're Europe. We want to be Europe. We want to trade with Europe. Imagine everything the UK traded away in Brexit voluntarily. The Ukrainians are literally protesting to keep. They want to be part of the European Union. They want progressive reforms. They're willing to get out and scream and protest for it. And in 2013, you had the Euromaidan protests, which eventually led to, in February of 2014, the toppling of Viktor Yanukovych when y'all may remember, he ran to Russia. From there, having run Yanukovych out and seeing all the blatant graft and corruption, they decided, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to hold new elections. And they elected a guy by the name Petro Poroshenko in 2014. Petro Poroshenko was influential. He's a Ukrainian oligarch. He's known as the chocolate king in Ukraine. Imagine he's like the Godiva of Northern Europe. His chocolate stores are all over the place. He's in several different businesses, and the folks weren't really that happy with him. He was elected in 2014, and he served till 2019. But people just weren't very pleased with him. I mean, because he reminded them too much. His ties were in Russia. A lot of his business ties were in Russia. He wasn't progressing the country. He wasn't making it European enough. So they ousted him. In May of 2019, they elected Volodymyr Zelensky because he was a complete outsider. He was an entertainer. He's actually a very well-educated man. He's an attorney. He's a lawyer, but he made his living. He had several shows. And this is kind of getting to the central point that I wanted to make here. Racism is destroying Russia. Racism. Specifically, Vladimir Putin's racism. Peter Campbell, I appreciate it, bud. Good morning. Check out the documentary Winter on Fire, Ukrainian Revolt. There's another one out called Ukrainian Revolt by the People. There's another one out called Superpower. If you can ignore the fact that it's on Paramount Plus right now, if you can ignore the fact that that Sean Penn makes himself way too much the center of that story, it's actually pretty good. What they talk about historically, it's very accurate, and it gives you a lot of the background information that I'm giving you right here, right now. But so we've had the Euromaidan revolts, right? And that feeling, that sentiment never went away. That's what defeated Petro Poroshenko, brought Zelensky into office. The entire world's minds exploded because this is like a tectonic shift. Ukraine had been really Russia's duchy. They had so much influence and control. Here they are blatantly electing a guy because he's not Russia, even though, and I'm not bad-mouthing Zelensky here, he was very much Russia when they elected him. I know what you're saying. You're like, what? Zelensky's our guy. Well, yeah, but he wasn't our guy first. He wasn't. Zelensky was elected because of discontent, yes. But Zelensky's money was made in Russia. His shows were aired on Russian TV. In July of 2019, he got sent a clear message from Donald Trump that you cannot trust the West. We're out for our own interests, and that's it. We will run you like Russia runs you. So Volodymyr Zelensky's point of view was, I got to take care of my own. I do. I got to take care of my own. And Putin knew it. So why didn't Putin just run with it? He had influence over the major oligarchs in Ukraine. He has Volodymyr Zelensky, who has openly said to everyone anything for peace. Everything's on the table, and everything means rolling back ties to the West. It means assuring that he'll never join NATO. It means everything Putin wants. So why didn't Putin take it? Why didn't he take it? I mean, think about that. You had Ukraine that had already made inroads into Europe, but was wholly controlled by Putin and Russia. Why didn't Putin just roll with it? Zelensky was really no opposition at the time. That's a great point. Ann Aldridge says Zelensky speaks Russian as a first language, Ukrainian second. Yeah, Zelensky was still Russia's guy. And we were working, we were trying, but we weren't winning. The Russians were winning. I mean, think about Brexit happening. Think about everything. Everything was rolling Putin's way. But he decides in February of 2022 to invade Ukraine. Why? I mean, his guy in America has been defeated over Ukrainian nonsense. He could have just smoothed it over. Had access to all those European markets and still been in control. Yeah, Bill Davis, the I do not need a ride, I need ammunition. We're getting to that. That's not now. That's not where we're at in the story. Because had Putin just rolled with it, that would have been history. That would have been it. He would have had more influence in Europe. But no, he invades. He puts Zelensky's back against the wall when he could have just owned the guy. And the question is, why? Zelensky's Jewish. Volodymyr Zelensky is Jewish. And Putin is a scorching racist. And he was not going to have a Jewish guy running Ukraine. So Putin, instead of taking the win and getting everything he could have ever wanted out of Ukraine, over racism has destroyed the Russian Empire. It's over. It's done. And it's over racism. Because, folks, everybody keeps asking me that question, why? And I keep answering it politely. Why don't we just give Ukraine everything they need? Why don't we just give them all this? Why don't we give them better jets than the F-16s? Why don't we get... Folks, all the way up to February 24th, 2022, Volodymyr Zelensky was Russia's guy. He said to anyone that would listen, man, no NATO, no joining Europe, anything for peace. Yes, we were talking to him behind the scenes. Yes, we were, trying to improve our relationship and position with him. That's what our intelligence agencies do. But folks, he was not our man. And that was just 2019. So yeah, when I tell you there's a lot of folks that have read a lot of intelligence briefs about Ukraine that are very hesitant just to give Ukraine everything, that's why. Yes, Russia put his back against the wall. Yes, he has done irreparable damage to the Ukraine's relationship with Russia. He is all in to go to the West. He is. But folks, I'm telling you, before Putin invaded, he was a windsock. He was. So until we see more, till time passes and they are truly Western allies, we're not going to give them everything. We're not, because we're not going to face our own weapons coming back the other direction in 5 years. We're just not going to do it. But that's just that story. Let's talk about how this brings us to today. What's going on with this so-called impeachment inquiry that's not an impeachment inquiry by Trump's own Department of Justice? It's not an impeachment inquiry. How does that pertain to what we just talked about? Well, it's really simple, folks. And I've got a great breakdown from Jared Moskowitz on exactly why that is. You know what? Let's just go ahead and we'll skip the order and go straight to Jared Moskowitz because he nails it. He nails it. And it shows the connection. Won't take me but a second to bring it up. Here we go.
Show you. It's a simple board, right? So all other presidents in the United States, 50% of the impeachments. Donald Trump, the other 50. Donald Trump has half of the impeachments in American history. But you know what? He's got 100% of the indictments. 100% of all indictments. 0 for the other presidents. Listen, let me do it another way. I want to channel my inner Tim Russert. So let me go to the board, right? And I don't have Florida. But Donald Trump, impeachments. Oh, how many impeachments? We got 2 there. How many indictments? We got 4. How many for Biden? 0, 0. Donald Trump is right. He's sick of winning. He's just winning, running away with it. And that's why we're here. We're here because of math. That's what this is about. They can't save Donald Trump. They can't take away the 2 impeachments and the 4 indictments, but they can try to put some numbers on the board for Joe Biden. But the problem is when you sling mud, you got to have mud. And they just don't have anything, Mr. Chairman. So look, we get it. We know why we're here. That's why they say the Biden family, the Bidens, James Biden, Joe Biden's dog, Commander, but not Joe Biden. Never Joe Biden. So when are you going to have the vote on impeachment, Mr. Chairman? What are you scared of? Call the vote. Come on. If you all think there's so much evidence, we're here. Call the vote on impeachment. Impeach him right now. I dare you.
Exactly. I love it. Call the vote. You don't even have votes to have an actual impeachment inquiry. They can't even subpoena evidence in this joke that they're having today, and they're getting humiliated. They're getting humiliated. But folks, that connection is it right there. That connection is it. You know, we've got you got Donald Trump that tried to blackmail Ukraine, that got impeached over it. And you got Putin's racism that's destroying Russia. You have the Republicans that bet their lives on Russia that are scared as hell. They are scared as hell. They see what this looks like historically. They see what momentum this has brought. But it was Donald Trump's actions. And this is why this is blowing up in their face. There is nothing there. There is nothing there. Mr. Newton, I appreciate you, sir. Key witness, Jonathan Turley. I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment. Still, these stupid hearings and government shutdown will hurt millions of Americans. It will cost us billions of dollars. It's going to cost us billions of dollars. And it is not going well for the Republicans. It is not. I'm going to tell you right now, they are being utterly destroyed. They are being utterly destroyed. This is how it started, folks. This is how it started.
Mr. Turley, I have a simple question for you. In your testimony today, are you presenting any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
No, I'm not.
Nope.
No, you are not. Ms. O'Connor, you are the second Republican witness here today. Have you, in your testimony, presented any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
I have not.
Thank you.
Nope.
Now, Mr. Dubinsky, as the third and final Republican witness in this hearing, have
Look
you,
at his
in your
face.
testimony, presented any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
I have not.
And Professor Gerhardt, given that you are the minority witness, I assume the same, correct?
I'm not a fact witness, correct.
Thank you. And to clarify, Mr. Turley, I have a simple question for you. In your testimony today, are you presenting any firsthand witness account of
That's how it started. That's how it started. Oh my God. They lined up these witnesses, they introduced them, and AOC, when she gets the mic, just right out the gate. Okay, let's just end this now. Do you have any evidence to present? No. Nope. Do you have any evidence to present? Nope. Do you have any evidence to present? Nope. Okay, Professor Gerhardt, you're our witness. Do you have any evidence to present? No, that's not what we're doing here today. Oh my God, that's how it started. Can you imagine James Comer's ego just listening to that exchange? Just he's sitting up there. He's been talking smack all day about everything they're going to do and all the stuff that they're going to, put forward. And this is just going to destroy Joe Biden. And just AOC, as Catherine Wilfong says, one classy lady. She just very simply, very straightforward, in a way that any American can absolutely understand. Even the Norwegians want AOC for president, man. I'm telling you. Oh man. And it just got worse for him from there. It just got Lynn. I appreciate the support. I appreciate it, Lynn. I agree with the last super chat. The AOC for president. I'm telling you, by 2028, she is going to be a force to be reckoned with. She is. I am telling you, she has got one hell of a future because she is smart. I'm telling you, AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Daniel Goldman. You had the corporate news media trying to say that we Democrats, well, we're in trouble. We've got no bench. Really? Okay. Well, let's just keep watching a few clips. I have the best of the hearings yesterday for you. You're going to love this one. I mean, just absolutely love this one. Byron Donalds, I
want to emphasize why that's important.
Hold on, before we get started, Byron Donalds, he's a rep from Florida. He is the Republicans' great hopeful. He's their bench. They believe that Byron Donalds is going to be, even though the guy was convicted of defrauding his employer, then pardoned for it, they think he's the future. So, let AOC explain it.
Important. Earlier today, one of our colleagues, a gentleman from Florida, presented up on this screen something that appeared to be a screenshot of a text message containing or insinuating an explosive allegation. That screenshot of what appeared to be a text message was a fabricated image. It was a fabricated image. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it was the staff of the committee, but it was not the actual direct screenshot from that phone. And in fact, I would like to submit to...
No, wait a minute. Now, what she just said there is very important. Byron Donald just held up, put on the screen what he called evidence that he wanted to assert into the congressional, that he did assert into the congressional record, that made it appear. You've seen those screenshots that they take of text messages. That's what we're talking about. But it wasn't. It was a doctored image. They just pulled apart a conversation and stacked it together, and then with Photoshop, and made a whole new conversation. And that's what they introduced in as evidence. And listen.
The committee, the actual full context from the Ziegler affidavit number 1, exhibit 402, of the full text of that exchange. Do I have permission from the chair? Importantly, what was brought out from that fabricated image excluded critical context that changed the underlying meaning and allegation that was presented up on that screen by.
Now, that's pretty straightforward. She just nails it out there. The conversation that you put up there is completely fabricated. You cut and pasted a conversation together that was not the real conversation. I am holding the real conversation in my hand. You fabricated an entire conversation and are trying to enter it as evidence.
This committee and by members of this committee. Now, they are well within their right to do that because they are covered by the speech and debate clause. This was not submitted by a material or fact witness under oath.
That's hugely important because there's going to be a lot of people that are saying, how can they get away with that? Byron Donald should go to jail. I am telling you, the speech and debate clause must be changed. It must be updated. It allows Republicans, let's be honest about it, it's all Republicans, to sit before a committee and put into evidence what they know to be a complete lie. And you can't touch them because of the speech and debate clause. What the speech and debate clause basically says is we don't want a government attacking the legislative branch. We want the people's representatives to be able to speak. We don't want them to be able to call them liars and shut them up and censure them. They got to be able to say whatever they want. And this is what we get. This is what the Republicans do with it. They just fabricate evidence. Let's let AOC finish up here.
That was not submitted by a material or fact witness under oath.
And that is the last important part of that statement right there, folks. That was not evidence in their investigation. She says during the prior investigation where this information came from, no witness ever said what you said they said. That none of them ever. Then you fabricated a photoshopped image that you claimed was a screenshot of a text conversation that wasn't. And you submitted that in as evidence. And it just keeps going downhill, folks. It just keeps going downhill from the Republicans. I'm telling you, I love these people. You know me, I'm a big fan of Congressman Crockett. Karen Collins, I got you. I was just going for that one.
Before I begin my questioning, I want to remind everyone that the information recorded in the FBI Form 1023 that my Republican colleagues keep citing is not evidence of anything. This form reflects years-old, secondhand, unverified information from a Ukrainian oligarch as relayed to the FBI by a confidential human source. These unverified secondhand allegations have been repeatedly debunked and undermined, including by the confidential human source who relayed this information to the FBI. The tip recorded in the Form 1023 was thoroughly explored by the U.S. attorney handpicked by Donald Trump, which was Attorney General William Barr, and the assessment was closed. Finally, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner who worked with the Ukrainian oligarch in question, told this committee in a transcribed transcribed interview in July that he had no knowledge of any such payments allegedly described in this form. Repeating the same lies will not somehow turn them into truths.
Amen. Amen. I'm telling you, I love Jasmine Crockett. I do. She is the best. She is super sharp. Her and AOC, just those two alone. If we only had AOC and Jasmine Crockett, Jesus, the next 2 decades would be just pure sunshine. Pure sunshine. She is so sharp. I'm telling you. I am telling you. They are just picking each point. What she's talking about there is Rudy Giuliani. She's talking about Rudy Giuliani. You had this oligarch that was controlled by the FSB that told a secondhand story to Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani took that to his buddy at the FBI, O'Donnell, which has now been convicted of corruption for taking bribes, took that story to the FBI. Well, even the corrupt, agents at the FBI that love Rudy Giuliani couldn't come up with anything from this. It was just crap. It was wholly fabricated crap. They're like, there's nothing we can do with this. And they just closed it down. I love her. Deborah Nuttall. I never forget Katie Porter. I never forget Katie Porter. But they pissed Jasmine Crockett off. They did. And you can see, I love this. See if you can see the demeanor slip a little bit here. She was pissed off in this next portion. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Have you ever heard them say "if" since we've been sitting here for I don't know how long?
Yes, I've been taking a tally.
Oh, okay. Can you show us? Can you tell us what the tally is?
More than 35 times, the Republican witnesses and Republican members of the committee have used the word "if."
Thank you so much for that.
So every time they talked about something that might have happened, they kept qualifying it to keep themselves from being called on the carpet for perjury. They would say, well, if this means that, or if Joe Biden did that, and man, she just goes to town on it. Hold on, bring that back up. Let me finish my thought here. E.T., appreciate you, buddy. E.T., I wonder what the minute-by-minute ratings of Fox was yesterday. Did they take? I don't know what the ratings were on Fox yesterday, but I'm going to look that up. I honestly, I don't know. Let's get back to Jasmine.
Honestly, if they would continue to say "if" or Hunter and we were playing a drinking game, I would be drunk by now. Because I promise you, they have not talked about the subject of this, which would be the president. But let me tell you something that was so disturbing as I walked in to this chamber today. As I prepared, I said, what is the crime? Because when you're talking about impeachment, you're talking about high crimes or misdemeanors. And I can't seem to find the crime. And honestly, no one has testified of what crime they believe the president of the United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me. This looks like more.
That woman is pissed off at that point. Do you see these boxes? Do you see our national secrets sitting in the shitter? That's when you know Jasmine Crockett is pissed off and lost her composure. I'm telling you, it is great. Hold on, let's finish that up.
More evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
Oh my God. I love Jasmine Crockett. I love Jasmine Crockett. Man, I'm telling you, exactly about her age. Boom, drop the mic. I would have been okay if she had just stood up, thrown her mic on the ground, turned around and walked out of the hearing. That was great. That was amazing. Ah, man, she is one of my favorite people, just one of my favorite people. She really is. And, you know, it didn't stop there. They were having so much. I mean, she was pissed off there. She really was. But they were having so much fun. There you go. Karen Collins says, having t-shirts made with shitter on it. Yeah, she did, man. You can tell she was legitimately pissed off there. That was not acting in any way, shape, or form. She was really, really pissed off there. But, you know, they were having so much fun with it. They were. I mean, the Democrats, it was like watching one of those basketball games where you got one team just kicking the hell out of another team. And, you know, they're just having fun with it, man. It just, you know, passing behind the back, you know, just, you know, dunking from the free throw line. And when it was over, it's like they didn't have enough. Jared Moskowitz linked this on his social media. I don't play a lot of Fox News usually, but, you know, here we go. This is actually pretty good. Jared Moskowitz says in his X-Chan, I don't know what you call them anymore. They're not tweets anymore. Solid legal advice to all, Judge Janine. Never blow the witness at an inquiry. Hold on. Here you go. Here's what he's talking about. Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Jared Moskowitz on this. Sound legal advice. Don't blow the witness at the impeachment inquiry. That's just not a good idea. I think there are decorum rules about that, but, you know, hey, oh my God, they just had so much fun. They went on show after show after show. And, you know, it's just one after the other. Here we go. Got another one you're really going to like here.
Can everyone on the Oversight Committee say the same thing? Well, members of the Oversight Committee, please raise your hand if you believe both Hunter and Trump should be held accountable for any of the indictments against them if convicted by a jury of their peers. We can take a minute. No, it's serious. This is a serious matter. If y'all need to think about it.
All the Democrats have their hands up. Not a single
It
Republican.
is serious. This is very serious. Think about it. Should both Hunter and Trump
gentleman yield to a
be held
question?
accountable? I want to see whether you'd raise your hand. Should Hunter and Trump both be held accountable if they're found guilty on any of their indictments? Raise your hand if you think that equal justice under the law applies and Trump should be held accountable. I think it is worse than embarrassing that Republicans won't raise their hands. They refuse to say that equal justice under the law should apply to everyone. And when you step back and think about it,
Then what about
it's
the
kind of
January
scary.
6th defendants?
It's
Chairman,
kind of
point of order.
scary. This double standard insults the institutions of Congress that people fought and died to build. This impeachment hearing clearly is not about justice. We cannot say equal justice under the law for everyone except for the guy who holds the leash.
What do I say? What do I say? They're just killing it. Normally, it's my job to take like dry comments and the things that are important but don't really hit, and bring them to you and say, "Hey, man, this is why this is important." I think it's somewhat important and self-explanatory where Greg gets, and Texas in the house, folks. Texas was in the house. Jasmine Crockett from Texas, Greg Kassar from Texas. Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Okay, you want to talk about Hunter Biden. You think Hunter Biden should be indicted, Hunter Biden should be convicted. You think for whatever reason we should have an impeachment when you produce no evidence, yada, yada, yada. Are you willing to take that same energy to Donald Trump? And if he's convicted, do you want him held accountable? Yeah, exactly, Carter. No one wanted to hear from Toilet Mouth Marge. She made no significant statements yesterday. Believe me, if she did, I would be all over that like white on rice. I would. But yeah, I mean, I think that's fairly important that you saw that. If you will hold Donald Trump accountable, if he's indicted, raise your hand. Not a single Republican hand went up. Not one. They're not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. And that's how basically a wrap up. That's how their impeachment inquiry. I mean, imagine being James Comer. Oh boy, you're really going to stick it to the Biden administration. You're really going to bring them down, man. Who do you think that Governor Newsom will appoint to fill the vacant Senate seat for Dianne Feinstein? At one point, I would have said himself. That would have been my first bet. But I think he's going for all the marbles in 2028. He wants to be president. So I'm going to say more than likely, strongest bet right now is Katie Porter. That would be my strongest bet right now. And Adam Schiff will eventually become governor of California. Good question, by the way. Good question. That's right, Jackie. Texas Smackdown. Texas Smackdown. I mean, Texas in the house. I'm very proud. I'm so proud as a Texan to see Jasmine Crockett and Greg Kassar just going to town in this nonsense. Extremely proud. Extremely proud. Well, we've actually had a bit more news happen yesterday that any other day would have been just the lead story if it wasn't for Democrats absolutely dunking on Republicans. But it is important enough that I think we should mention it. I know my wife has asked me about this multiple times, and I've told her there's nothing to say. Nothing really is happening. You remember back in the day, we had the Proud Boys that were going to be sentenced. One of the guys that was convicted was a guy by the name of Chris Worrell, and he decided he did not want to go to jail. So after he was convicted and before he was sentenced, Chris Worrell, he took off, man. Well, they found him. They found the whole time that they were talking about this, the marshals were like, "We got this. Relax. We got this." They knew nobody likes Chris Worrell. He had nobody to rely on. This is not the kind of guy that could a la the Simpsons, back into the hedge and disappear, and you don't ever see him again. They knew. So there was no nationwide manhunt. There was nothing. They just got on the phone with each of the significant Proud Boy chapters and said, by the way, you helped this guy, we're going to prosecute you. So yeah, he went back home. They busted him in the middle of the night last night in his own bed because, the big bad Proud Boy couldn't last on his own, couldn't survive on his own, and had to run back home. So yeah, he was the suggested sentence for Worrell was 16 years. That's what the prosecutors were asking for. By what the judges had been passing out, he would have likely received 6 to 8 years. They've been splitting the baby. You know, the defense has been asking for remand, for, house arrest, basically. The prosecutors have been asking for sentence. They've been cutting it in half. So he was looking at 6 to 8 years, maybe. Not anymore. Not anymore. That just skewed way hard. I bet this guy, I bet he gets 12 to 14 years now. He was convicted of assaulting an officer during the January 6th insurrection. So yeah, that's good news. That is good news. We also have a new ad. I absolutely love this. Dark Brandon just kills it. He has the best people around him. President Biden has I'm telling you, I know these people. I work with these people. I'm telling you, they are the best. They are the best at this. And they are just nailing it. We're not even into the election season yet. And these are the quality of ads that are coming out. This is the new Biden ad. You're going to love this, folks. Watch this.
And you know who else? And you know who else is missing in action? Donald Trump is missing in action. He should be on this stage tonight. He owes it to you to defend his record where they added $7.8 trillion to the debt. That set the stage for the inflation that we have now.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
And you know who else?
Tell me that is not a great frickin' ad. It is just pudding fingers. Absolutely. He's destroying pudding fingers, for attacking Donald Trump. We just absolutely destroying pudding fingers with the Donald Trump base. And then he's destroying Donald Trump because everything pudding fingers is saying is absolutely 100% true. It is just, folks, I'm telling you, if you will just show up and vote, we have got this. We have got this. All of the momentum's going our way. All of the, we just had a couple special elections, one of them up in New Hampshire. Special elections always break Republican. We Democrats show up at presidential elections. That's typical. We have started to show up in off-year elections. We never used to show up at special elections. You had to really, really do something special to win a special election as a Democrat, much less in a Republican district. Up in New Hampshire, we just had a district, folks, that was plus 12 Trump. They held a special election for the representative there. It went plus 12 Democrat. Folks, that's a 24-point swing in a Republican district. We're not talking about an independent district. We're not talking about, fighting it out in Wisconsin or fighting it out in Georgia or fighting it out in Pennsylvania. This was a Trump district. If you will just show up to vote, we can save our country from fascism. Well, folks, we're down to the roundtable discussion. That's all I wanted to talk about today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Let's hear your questions or comments about anything, anything. Ask me anything. We're having an AMA. Ask me anything. Good comment there from Susie D. Dark Brandon doesn't even have to create new ads. He could just use what the MAGA are saying about themselves and him. Face purple crying, face purple crying, face purple crying. Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth. Oh, hey, while you people are putting your comments up, just want to remind you, the You Do You Boo Boo cups are in the Texas Paul store, texaspaulstore.com. Everything's just going fantastic there, folks. Everything is going fantastic. I hope you guys are enjoying the mugs. Y'all have been ordering a ton of them, and I'm truly grateful. But yeah, we're going to have seasonal mugs. This is the You Do You Boo Boo mug. When we're going to have a Christmas mug coming out around November. We may do a Thanksgiving. You know, this is what I wanted to do. You folks have asked me to open up memberships on YouTube to make it easier to support the show. I've always opposed stuff like Patreon and memberships because I'm here to talk to you. I'm here to get the message out. If you start gatekeeping, you know, and only allowing people in that pay money, that to me defeats the purpose. That's not what I'm here for. But we've talked about maybe including things like, I'm glad to hear it, Sean. I thought it was a great idea. Doing seasonal mugs. But I thought what we would do is we'd come up with a couple designs for like the seasonal mugs, and we would let members vote on what those designs would be, so we find out what you folks want the most. Any ideas that you have? We're having a really hard time activating the memberships. A lot of you have asked for them to make it easier to support the show, but we're having a hard time coming up with what the memberships should offer. So please contact us at my email, throw it up in the comments, tell us what you folks want there so that we can do what you folks want. Carol Lowe asks, is it correct that Trump will have to post money if he appeals the New York judgment? I'm going to say something that nobody in my position ever says, because you've got to keep this facade up that you know everything all the time. I don't know. I haven't researched that, and I don't want to give you bad information. I would assume not. You don't, I would assume not. But you know what assuming does, right? I mean, yes, please, Lee Salva, please. My vote is one of the last to be counted, but I am doing. Our embassy is very good at getting us our ballots. Vote blue. Do not vote third parties. They are spoilers. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The overseas vote is hugely important, folks. And I really want to ask you, please get people into this audience, share people this, tell this to your friends when you go to other shows, whatnot. Say, hey man, you got to see this crazy ass cowboy, you know, and get people in so we can get this word out. The military vote, the overseas vote, that is all hugely crucial, and it's you folks that do it. I'll come here and I'll put the information out every day, but you folks have to bring in the audience. You folks have to take the information that you learn here and take it out. Hit the thumbs up button down there. Hit the subscribe button so you can get notifications about the show. But hit the thumbs up button because that'll boost us on the algorithm, and people will see this today. They'll see these clips all bundled together so they can see them all in one place. We're down to 2 minutes, folks. Come on, let's get another good comment. I love talking to you folks, man. I really do. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed the show today. I was really looking forward to this show. I love those clips so much. Oh my God, I love those clips. I was just dying I have to line the clips up before the show but for the broadcast software, and I was just dying watch. I must have watched each one of them 10 times. All right, folks. Come on, one more good one. Matt Phillips, do I know John, a blue dot? I don't know him personally. I don't. Kitty, thank you for the help. I appreciate it. We are definitely going to, we are definitely using what you do to help boost the show. So did you see the duck soup reference in New York judgment? I did. That judgment was fantastic. My favorite part of that judgment, she's talking about the New York, the Letitia James summary judgment that she got from Judge Engelrod. My favorite one was where he called him out in his testimony so that the entire world would hear, because nobody paid attention to his Donald Trump's testimony. Nobody did. But he specifically said, I can value my properties as anything I want because, you know, The Saudis will pay me anything I want. He tells you he's in their pocket. He tells you the Saudis are in the, folks, it's not just the Russians. It's not just the Russians. It's the Saudis also. Emergency Remedial Truth says you're getting better and better, text. I appreciate it, man. I work at it. I really do. I really do. Mr. Newton, I love the support, my friend. Thank you very much. Show up to vote and keep your freedom. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, folks, we are out of time. It's 11 o'clock. We've got the sparklers here. We got the Tony fam. We got to get this done. Take a look at some beautiful Texas cities, and I will see you again Sunday.